This video is sponsored by Mark 7 Car Wash Equipment, providing clean, dry, shiny cars for over 50 years. Visit mark7.net for more information.
Welcome back to Unscripted, Carwash.com's video series that connects you with market leaders. On today's Unscripted video interview, I'm happy to welcome Fred Misheal, President of Operation for Auto Spa Express and President of NEX Consulting, and Chris Armena, General Manager for Mark 7 Equipment Inc. in Canada. Hello, gentlemen. It's great to see you both, and thanks for doing this interview with me today.
Hey, thanks for having us, Rich. Appreciate it.
All right, no problem. So, I'm not sure if many of our viewers are aware, but Carwash.com is visited by over 200 countries around the world, and Canada is certainly high on that list. And actually, I looked over the past year and ranks number 3 in terms of total viewership, slightly behind the UK. So a lot of countries tuning into Carwash.com and reading our content. Fred, I know you and I participated in a panel earlier this year on general car wash trends, and I know you are both heavily entrenched in the Canadian car wash market. So wanted to touch base with you both here today and discuss some of the prominent trends that are occurring in the country's car wash market. And one topic that we see that was prevalent throughout the world, certainly didn't respect international boundaries, was the coronavirus pandemic. So I'm curious, Fred, how did COVID affect retail businesses, including car washes in Canada, and how did these impacts vary from province to province?
Well, I could speak of the province of Ontario, obviously, but I could tell you based on the guidelines and the restriction on the ongoing changes and challenges we had with the guidelines and restrictions, we obviously faced a loss of revenue. And we knew this would be a temporary thing, obviously. We didn't know how long it would last, but it did last good enough. And we were forced at one point to actually lay off our employees and asked them to, let me correct that. So we asked our employees to go and ask for government subsidy, and they did so. And based on the circumstances right now in Canada or Ontario itself, our COVID numbers are down and the restrictions and the guidelines are much better and easier. So we back in operation. We back in operation for a while right now. But the challenges we're facing right now, the employees that collected assistance from the government, some of them don't wish to come back. So we are actually facing a short of manpower at our operation. We didn't expect that, but sure we are facing it right now. Other provinces, I believe, went under the same restriction. They both joined ventures in that matter, and they followed almost the same guidelines. But I do know it wasn't easy for us at the beginning. We got accustomed to it. And when I say I got accustomed to it, because the guidelines would change, COVID numbers went down at one point, and then we went back to open the operation to serve the public. And again, we were forced to shut down, and they told us we could only serve the essential workers. And the challenge was our website. We had to change our website and update it at all times. You sit, listen to the news, and you update your website and your social media and every other advertising tool we had and used. We had to be on top of that. It wasn't easy, but we are in a much better situation right now. I hope we actually go back to 100%. I doubt we will go back to 100%. Because we've seen a trend here that people in the city, because of COVID, they actually sold their homes and residence and moved to the countryside of things. And that means they are far away from us. And in the countryside of things, they don't have enough car washes, or they won't be our customers anymore. So we're hoping other people will move in within the areas that we could serve them, and our numbers will go back, but it'll take time. But we are very positive right now. We're seeing good signs and so on.
Yeah, from my perspective, Rich, the retail business in Canada in general was really hit hard last year. I mean, if you look at the restaurants, the all the retail stores in the shopping malls, the gyms, many of them have closed shop, unfortunately. Um, one part that one business that really boomed last year, I guess it's the same in the US, was the supermarket chains. I mean, we've seen them achieve record sales during the COVID-19 pandemic last year. The C stores, they've also experienced record-breaking years last year during the pandemic. So that was good. Now, when we looked at the car wash business in particular, I think we were still more fortunate than the other retail businesses. I've had customers and operators across the country who I really stayed close with during the pandemic. And Ontario, which is the eastern part of Canada, was hit harder than the western part of Canada. If we talk about British Columbia and Alberta, which is the western part, we've even seen some operators there who had much higher wash counts in 2020 compared to 2019. So they weren't affected as bad as the eastern part of Canada, but I would say overall, we're still very fortunate that we weren't hit as hard. I think last year there were around I would think around 1.5 months, Fred, right, that the independent car washes were forced to shut down because they were considered non-essential by the government. But if you look at the car washes that are within a gas station and convenience store setting, they were open the whole time. They were considered part of that essential business, and the whole time they were washing cars. Although car washes, the car wash counts did go down. This 2021, it's much better, like Fred said. And operators here are very optimistic that we will be good this 2021.
It's great to hear, and a lot of similarities with the U.S. market for sure. So, in terms of trends of the wash types that are available, such as friction versus touchless, and full serve versus express exterior as examples, do Canadian customers prefer a single format over another these days? And how does that differ, if at all, with what investors prefer?
Good question, Rich. What we've been seeing the past years is really a shift towards the friction part. In Mark 7, we do sell a hybrid machine, which means that our customers could offer both a friction and a touchless wash to their customers, which is really good for the customers, right? Because they capture the whole market. What we've seen with these operators, once they put in the hybrid machine, 75% automatic, they go for the friction or soft touch option, and 25% choose the touchless. So it's really a good indicator that people are now shifting towards soft touch. And then if you look at the tunnels, I mean, one thing in Canada, I think that tunnel business here is just really starting. Unlike in the US, I've seen the boom in the tunnel business in the US for the past, maybe 8-10 years now. In Canada, it's just starting, but we do have a good number of tunnels here, and they're all friction tunnels. In terms of full serve versus express exterior, Fred operates a a full serve business, and in Canada it's still popular right now. I mean, lots of new investors are coming in, and they do the full serve model. Although we are watching the trend in the US, I do know that in the US, most of the investors are now looking at the express exterior model. So I'll leave it to Fred uh, to give his take on the full
Yes.
model.
In regards to the exterior wash, Chris mentioned that the numbers of express exterior washes in the States are rising up. That's because I believe there's big conglomerates that they are huge investors. They getting together and they actually buying existing car washes and building new car washes. So those are not individuals or a single owner that wishes to invest in a car wash. We yet to see that trend in Canada, investors getting into the car wash business as a group, or as a, you look at Rocket Car Wash, but behind the scene, there's so many investors to develop this name and opening new sites. Even though not only tunnels, they're looking at also the flex style of the full serve. In Canada, we yet to have the same population as in the States. We yet to have the dense city like in the States, but obviously the population is rising. As the population is rising, more people are thinking about investing in open-air car wash. And one trend I realized lately is people are actually moving into the little towns and they wanted to be the first to open a car wash in there. So that's a good sign. And yes, it's looking promising. Yes, I talked to a lot of people, or people talk to me and ask me about the car wash business, and they seem very interested. I'm talking to a couple of people right now, they're looking into that. So looking into investing money into a car wash. So the other thing too, in the States, the trend in the States, the built exterior car wash is based on the idea of prescription, membership, and automatic renewal. So it seems that this is a trend been going on in the States for a while, but everyone is pushing for it. And that's coming to Canada too. We start seeing some operators doing the unlimited car washes. It's a monthly fee, automatic renewal, and you go on and on and on and on. So that is some of the trends that's happening in Canada. As for the full serve, yes, it's a great idea. The feedback from the consumer is so positive. The only issue, the initial investment for a full serve is not cheap. You need the proper land location first, and also the size of the land. The property has to accommodate both. As the traffic flow in the location must work well, so therefore you require a bigger property or land. Land and property in certain areas and certain cities in Ontario are very expensive. It's been on the rise for the last 6 years. So that could be a little difficult for individuals to build or invest into the full serve, but we've seen it happening. We got one going on in Winnipeg. We got one Mark 7 involved, I'm involved. Nebo Car Wash, also a fair size, two exterior wash tunnels and 2 express details. As for the States, I am dealing with a gentleman from Bowling Green, Kentucky. He is looking to build a full serve facility. Got the approval on both sides, financial and permits from the local city. Same thing in Winnipeg, wash method. They also do a single exterior tunnel and a single express detail. So the concept itself, it makes sense. As society goes in a trend where everyone is busy, people finding less time to clean their own cars. And I believe countries or states or provinces that have a cold weather, you'll find the demand on a flex or the full serve is in high demand. It works well, it's worth the investment.
Yeah, certainly. I live in New York, which is one of the colder climates. So we see a bunch of full serves around where I live. And obviously, Fred, in addition to the land, just to go off your earlier point, you need the staff to run these car washes, right? So as workers get back, hopefully that labor issue becomes minimized. So good transition to my next question here for you both is, to what level does the American market, the American car wash market at all influence the Canadian operators? And then on the flip side, what are the Canadian operators doing well that maybe the US operators can learn from?
We seem to copy what happens in the States, to be honest with you. I talked about the trend of membership and prescription and unlimited washes. This is a trend that we learned from the States and coming into Canada. And let me add to that, not only that, people are actually offering the free vacuums too right now. And that's a huge trend in the States. I'm not sure how much the States learn from Canada, but I could tell you that we got a couple manufacturing here in Canada. One makes wash equipment, which is McNeil equipment. It's made here in Canada in Barrie. And the other equipment is the Express Detail Belt. That has been nothing else but a huge success. STI Engineering makes that belt. They gaining so much business, not only in North America, also Europeans, also Australia, and other countries in the world that actually asking for that. So there is things to learn from each country, definitely. Ideas always fly around, and people could capture an idea and take the idea and make something out of it. Equipment size in the wash industry, I think it's equal, but more manufacturing in the States than in Canada. So therefore, we always look up to the States and what they make, and we either copy or we purchase.
Sounds good. Chris, did you have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, I think that the influence of the US is really huge in Canada. I mean, one thing to notice, we sell the same equipment. All equipment that we sell here in Canada, it's the same equipment that you sell in the US. And these are manufactured in the US. We don't really have local manufacturers here who do manufacturing in a big scale in our industry. So we really rely a lot upon you guys in the US for equipment. The other thing is like what Fred mentioned, the big thing really right now is the unlimited wash plans. I've seen in the US for years and years. It's like a regular offering already in the US. Here in Canada, not yet. And it's only lately that the market has been catching up to it. Unlimited wash plans, membership programs, apps. The app vendors in our industry right now, it's really a huge opportunity for them to grow here in Canada, especially with what happened with the pandemic, right? I mean, with the pandemic, we've seen people really going towards contactless payment. So I think it's a must for operators to offer an app and some form of contactless payment. Now, talking about contactless payment, one thing that I've seen here in Canada that I haven't really seen in the US that much is the tap and pay function of a credit card. Not sure if you know, Rich, but here in Canada, in retail in general, people just tap their credit card, no need to insert it, swipe it, no need to punch in a code. We just tap it and it's done. The transaction is processed. Of course, there is a maximum. Before the pandemic, it was $100. So anything $100 and below, you just tap. No need to punch in a code. During the pandemic, of course, the credit card companies increased that. Now you can tap for around $200. So it's really very convenient to the consumers. Another thing that I see in the Canadian market that might be useful in the US. One thing with Canada, it's cold. maybe 5 months in a year. Just like New York, where you are, and maybe even colder, 5 months in a year, we're below zero here, below freezing. And when I say below freezing, it is below freezing, much more than below freezing. So operators here are really trained to maintain their car wash as well. If they don't, they're gonna suffer. Yeah, because I would think it's the same in the colder places in the US. In Canada, between November and March, that's where you get 80% of your business. So you have to really make sure that during those 5 months, you do preventive maintenance. You make sure that your car wash operations are winterized to a high degree of efficiency, because you want to earn that 80% of your business during that period.
For sure. Yeah, and we recently had Larry McCarty on from Mark 7 offering some winterizing tips for car washes. So whether you're measuring in Celsius or Fahrenheit, below freezing is below freezing, is really, really cold. So important to prep the car washes out there, right? So next question here is, I understand it's a pretty in-depth, anyway, it's a simple question that could warrant a pretty in-depth response. So I'll just ask that maybe you give a 10,000-foot view on this next one here. What is the current state of the Canadian government, and do you expect any changes, such as in tax laws or regulations that might impact your country's operators 5 to 10 years from now?
We don't see an immediate impact from the actual government because we are in the car wash industry. Obviously our taxes are much higher in Canada than in the States. But that being said, they don't regulate a lot of the stuff that we do in the car wash industry. What I could see would be a challenge to the operators is that I believe at one point in the province of Quebec, if you operate a wash or you build a new wash right now, you must have a reclaim system. You can only use a percentage of fresh water. And I believe this is coming to Ontario too, and other provinces. Chris Armena have mentioned to me once in the past that in the province of British Columbia, certain districts are restrict on how much fresh water you could use. The same thing, the wash that I mentioned, wash method in Winnipeg, they forced the operator to put a reclaim system in place. And when we talk about reclaim system, the cost itself, it's tremendous, but the saving overall, even though it costs a lot at the beginning, but the saving overall on the water cost and consumption is pretty good. Return on investment with the proper reclaim system in place, it takes about 3 to 4 years to get your money back, which is not bad. 4 years is top. If you have a good system, 3 years, you should get your money back. The other issue that I believe we might face is the type of chemicals we use. When I say chemicals, I'm referring to soaps. So I believe companies like Mark 7 and others, the Anmondo, I believe, they keep working on making their chemicals environmentally friendly. Therefore, if the law comes down and then they can't come down and say it has to happen next year. They will give you maybe a 4 or 5 years period where you adjust your chemicals and they are accepting the type of chemicals you're using. And because even though you have a reclaim system when they overflow, they go down to the sanitary, which is the sewers of the city. And then therefore they will be strict about what you drain down those drains. Therefore, we might have those challenges. Taxes are the same like any other business. The other challenges we have, in about 3 years or 4 years, the province of Ontario, the premier decided to raise the minimum wage. And it wasn't a jump of 50 cents or a jump of 75 cents. I believe we had a $3 jump. And the first jump in the minimum wage was about $1. And over the last couple of years, we went up the other $2. So it was done gradually, but the first jump was huge and it was a must. And therefore, we had no choice but to adjust our retail prices or the cost of service to the consumer. Yes, the consumer realized that, but then the consumer also realized that the minimum wage has gone up. And we do, to be friendly to our consumer and customers, we did advertise it on our website. We had no choice but to, because of what reason? And the reason then was the manpower cost, the minimum wage.
Okay. Are there any other emerging trends that you are both monitoring that we should keep an eye on here that might threaten or offer opportunities to Canadian car wash operators?
I'm not aware of any. I'm not aware of any, but I do, sorry, Chris. I do know in the local cities, anytime you build something nowadays, they're very strict about the construction and how you do your constructions and what you use to eliminate leakage and such and such. For example, Nebo Road had to do a certain type of tarp to prevent any leakage from the site out to the road or any surrounding areas. So that itself an extra cost. So you either deal on a higher level of government or on a lower level of governance. Lower level is the city, the actual city that you're watching. So we just never know. I want to tell you an example of something we're doing right now. In about 2008, the province had a huge rainfall and we had flooding everywhere. So now when we build the parking lot, when we do the stormwater, when we contain the stormwater, you have to build under the ground. You have to put in tanks to manage the water from flooding on the lower plains. So that's an extra cost. So I talked about higher government and lower government. So this becomes also a code by multiple cities now, many cities, that you do that under the parking lot to contain as much water as you can. And they actually restrict the water getting out of those tanks with a small orifice of drainage. So it's not gushing out of your tanks in such a speed and then get somewhere else and meet other water from somewhere else and cause flooding. So therefore, that's one of the things that we never expected, and it is happening right now.
Interesting. Chris, anything to add? Any trends you're keeping an eye on?
I wanted to chime in just a bit before the trends. Just one thought on the government side. Just in general, if you talk about the Canadian government here, they've been very supportive in times of crisis. I mean, from what we've seen last year, they came up with a wage subsidy program that helped businesses support retaining their employees. They came up with so many emergency benefit programs that an individual can apply for. So in general, they've been very supportive during times of crisis. On the flip side, and this can be a one thing we have to watch out for in the coming years, is we do pay lots in taxes here, as Fred mentioned, and at some point they're gonna increase those the taxes that they charge us to make up for all the support that they've been giving everyone here in Canada. So it's just one thing that we have to watch out for. Now, in terms of emerging trends in the industry, really it's the digitalization of the whole car wash business that we have to keep track of. And it's digitalization of our business in all aspects. I mean, in terms of the customer experience, that's, like I mentioned, investing in apps, investing in all types of contactless options for the customer, making it easier for them to purchase a car wash. On the operator point of view, we also have to digitalize the way we maintain our car washes. I know that many of the manufacturers offer remote monitoring right now, which we always do. We also do. But on top of remote monitoring, I mean, the future is how do you program and fix a car wash remotely? I mean, the manufacturer who could do that the best and most efficient way is going to win in the future. Now, there's also digital marketing. It's something that us in Canada can also learn from our US counterparts. I mean, I look at the operators in the US. You guys invest a lot in marketing, and you do lots of digital marketing. Canadians are more or less more conservative, but we are catching up. We are catching up. So it is an opportunity really for operators to really look into digital marketing. And I guess the last thing, Rich, for me in terms of opportunities, like I mentioned, is really the tunnel business here. Lots of opportunities for investors and operators. I was reading your, I think you had an article recently wherein you mentioned there between March 2019 and March 2020, there were around 1,000 new tunnel businesses that popped up in the US. That's 1,000. If you just go by sheer numbers, Canada is 10% the population of the US. We should be doing 100 tunnels per year. But I think Fred can validate we're way below that. We're way below the 100 tunnels per year. So that's definitely an opportunity, and our population is growing now. In terms of threats, I don't, one good thing with the car wash industry, there's not really much threats to our industry. If you look 10 years into the future where we'll have more electric cars out there, that doesn't affect us. Whether it's electric cars, whether it's petroleum powered cars, people are still gonna have their cars washed. So we're protected in that sense. One of the investors I was speaking with, he also said one thing that attracted him to this industry is we're Amazon proof. We're not going to be bought up or affected by Amazon because the customer still has to go to the car wash. It's not like you can buy a car wash in Amazon and it's going to be delivered to your home. No, it's not going to be like that. Even if you buy through the internet, you still have to go to the car wash to get your car clean. So in that way, there's really very minimal threats to our industry.
Yeah, as long as road grime and dirt and dust are still out there, people are going to need their vehicle washed and shined, right?
And salt.
And salt, right?
And salt.
Especially in Canada, right? So
here in Canada.
I thank you both for taking some time. Very interesting information that you shared with our readers here today and our viewers today. Maybe we can catch up in the future to see how some of these trends played out. So thank you both for taking the time today.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you.
Thanks, Rich. Appreciate it.
Yes. Have a good day.